In this Python tutorial, which I call Basic Python Program, my intention is to break this lesson down for a beginner in programming, especially those who do not have knowledge of what programming is. Probably you're coming across programming for the first time. So I want to make it as simple as possible. And let's start with what is Python. Python is a popular high-level programming language that is widely used in many different fields like web development, data analysis, machine learning, and other fields of scientific computing. So one good thing about Python is that it is simple, it is readable and easy to use compared to some other programming languages like Java and some other ones. So it is very simple. That's just what I will say. So in this tutorial, I want to cover basics of Python programming, and we'll start with variables, data types, and talk about control flow, functions, and modules. So the intent of this very lesson is to introduce you into the basic terminologies in programming, and as a point of reference in Python. So let's start with and when we say Python as a programming language, in every language you have the syntax of that language. When you say syntax in English grammar, you're talking about how letters, words, and phrases are arranged to make sensible word or statements. The same thing in Python syntax. It is about how the data types, the variables, the words and phrases, symbols, and so on and so forth are arranged in Python for the Python interpreter to read and execute the command you have given as a Python user. So let's do one thing. Let's first move will be to print welcome to ITBS Media. What I've done here now is that I want the interpreter to print out this for me, and you see it has printed out welcome to ITBS Media for me. If I want to project this to a screen, or I have a monitor somewhere that is going to be the front end, this is what will be seen on the screen. Welcome to ITBS Media. So in most cases, in most programming language, the first thing you'll be asked to, or you'll be told to print is hello world. But in this tutorial, we decide to use welcome to ITBS Media. Okay, so let's talk about how you start in Python. If you look at the screen, you see I have Python 3.10 64-bit. What you need to do is you go to the website https www.python.org/downloads. So if you go to this website, you'll be able to download the current version, and you need to pick the right or the appropriate version for your system. If you are in the Windows environment, you pick Windows, and if you're using 32 bits, you select 32 bits. If it's 64 bits operating system you have, you pick the compatible one to your own system. And if you're in a Linux environment, you pick for Linux environment. So that is how it is. And before we move forward, you see what I did was that I put this sign, that's hash sign, when I wanted to type HTTPS, because it's not that I want to run it, I just want to give you an information. So I do not want the interpreter to think that I want it to interpret a command. That's why I put that hash sign. Some people call it hash, some people call it pound sign. So you put that is what is called notation in programming. So once you put it, the interpreter understands that you have just written a sentence. It's just like in our daily talk or stuff like that. There is what we call rhetorical question. If you ask a question and you are not expecting an answer back, in that situation, you just put that question out for the hearers to hear. The same thing I have done to the interpreter by putting the hash or pound sign there. The interpreter will not make effort to read what I have put there. It will just bypass it and move and print and just leave it there like that, the way I have put it there. So if you want to give, as we continue in this lesson, I'm going to be putting that to give explanation of what I'm about to do next. So now let's talk briefly about variables. What are variables in programming language and in Python? Variables are used to store values in a program. In Python, you can create a variable by simply assigning a value to a name. So I'm going to put hash sign here again, or let me do this. Let me move this down. Okay. So I assume that you have gone to https www.python.org and you have downloaded the application, the Python latest version, and you have installed it. If you have not done that and you want to follow as I walk through with you on this, you can pause the video, go ahead, download the version that is compatible with your operating system, and come back to the video. So now I believe you have gone ahead and you have downloaded Python. You can now walk along with me. So let's talk about variable. Remember I said once you put the pound sign, you can type anything you want there and the interpreter will not try to run the program. So I will say defining variables. In Python. Okay. So let's give an example. Example we're going to give is, let's say x. So how do you define what x is? You put equal sign and you tell the interpreter what you want, the value you want x to store. You want x variable to store a particular value. Then tell the interpreter that for my x, I want you to store this particular variable. So let me put 55 as my variable. Okay, it has stored it. Let me create variable y, and let me store a value there. Let me say it is 100. And you see, so now I have stored in my variable x the value 55, and for my variable y I have stored a value which is 100. Now let me request from the interpreter what x is. You see, print x. You see that the interpreter did not print letter x for me. Rather, it has brought out the value of x, which is 55. Now, I'm going to do something again for you as we go on to let you understand the next certain thing. Let me now say print I'm going to use lowercase x now. Remember that what we have here is x in uppercase. Okay, so you see we have error. It has thrown a syntax error for me. It says name error. That is the first thing you need to know. When you see name error, it means that there is problem with the name you have provided Python. Python is telling you, I don't understand this name. I've never come across this name. I don't know anything about this name. Can you check? And you see, it gave me a suggestion. Did you mean X? Say the lowercase is what I requested for. It says, I don't know this. It's not defined. But then it gave me the one that it knows as a suggestion. Are you talking about this? So let me go back. Print x cap now. You see? So right from when you start, because you're going to come across a lot of error messages in your programming journey, you must learn to read error statements. So you have syntax error, you have name error, you have a lot of, I'm going to make a video on different kinds of errors you may come across in Python, and that will help you as a beginner to navigate your journey through to becoming a pro in Python. So the next thing we want to do is to talk about the data type in Python. So I'm going to move from variables now. Talking about data types. In Python. Okay. So we have what is known, where there are different types of data type that Python can take. But then we need to understand how they operate. Integers. We have integers. So let me just type integers, which is usually abbreviated as int. And this is a whole number whole number that has no fraction. Remember, this particular lesson is for someone who is just starting out today with programming, precisely in Python. I want you to understand exactly what each thing. I think I should have given an example. Okay, now, how do you know what an int is? We will give an example. There is a way you can find out what a particular type of what a variable is. You can find out whether a variable is int or is a maybe it's a boolean, is string or floating number. So now we have talked about integer and we said it has to be a whole number. So let's find out from Python interpreter what 125 is. So what you do is you say type and you open your bracket 125, and what you are doing is that you are asking Python, what type of data is this? See, it says the class is int. So we're going to be using this as we explain on the type of data that Python recognizes. So we've just talked about int now, the integers. So any whole number, it could be 1 billion, could be 1 million, could be 1 trillion. As long as it's a whole number and it has no fraction, it is called integer, and in abbreviation, int. Okay. Then we have a floating point numbers, which is called float. So the second one is, let me just put this thing down. Okay. So we have floating point. Which is float. Okay. So a float is a positive or negative number. It has a whole number and it has decimal. So it could be positive, it could be negative. So let me put it this way. Positive or negative whole number with decimal point, or with the decimal. So that is what a float is. Let me give an example of a float. Or let's just say, okay, type 4.3. See, the class is what? Float. And let's move on to the next one, string. And string is usually written as str. So, talking about string, it is a sequence of characters like text and symbol. Then you have a numbers. It could be just one word. So sequence of characters. Let's just stop it at sequence of characters. So when you're talking about characters, it could include text, then symbols, and sometimes numbers. It could be symbols, numbers with text or character. Numbers with characters. Let's just stop it at that. Okay, so let's give examples of a string now. Let's say type John. Okay. It wants me to first define the name John. Okay. Let me type John. So because it is string, I need to put apostrophe or colon. I need to, not colon, so rather I need to put all this inverted comma on it. So if you don't put that, it won't recognize it as string. So but now you see that once I put it, that name error is corrected, and it has produced what we should have. So, and the last one that I want to talk about is Boolean. Booleans are in a small yes or no, A or B, true or false, yes or no. So, and it's written as a Boolean, and you can, the short form is bool. Okay, so we will stop at that for the introduction on data type. That we can still move further than that, but for this lesson, let's now move on to another thing, that's assigning value to these data types. Let's assume that we say x. This time around I'm going to use lowercase x. Remember, we have value for uppercase x. I'm going to give another value for lowercase x, and also that will be, let's say, 49 lowercase y, 66. If I want to change the value of uppercase x, which is currently 55, all I need to do is x now is equal 80. So I'm going to change it from 55 to 80. So now let me go back and say print x, and let's see what it will give. You see, the value of x has been changed from 55 to 80. That is how simple it is to modify data in Python. So we have, then let me say x, y, then t equal welcome to need to put welcome to ITBS media. Okay, and let's say J, that's J is cap now, J equal true. That is true. Remember we talked about Boolean, we said it's either true or false. Okay, now we have all this. Now let me begin to say print. What are the new values we have now? We have print x, that is lowercase x 49. Okay, print y, and print. Okay, I think I've demonstrated that one. Print t, and print j, remember I said it earlier that Python is case sensitive. As I put print uppercase j there, if I put lowercase j, it's going to throw name error. Okay, so is there another one I have not printed? Okay, t x, I think we have printed all. So let me just do type true. You see, it's telling me it's Boolean. So what we have done right now, or in this lesson, is to introduce you into the basic aspects, the beginning part. Just like if anyone wants to learn English language, you want to know what are the letters in English language, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, and stuff like that. And you want to start knowing which one is uppercase, which one is lowercase, and how can you use them, how can you combine them to form the simplest word. And these are some of the things we have just done now. So in the next lesson, we will be looking at control flow and things like if and else, if else statement, while loops, for loops. Then I will also go ahead and do different types of errors you may probably encounter in Python, so that while you're working you can have that as a reference. But I will always encourage you to search. If you come across any, it will help you a lot, but so that you will not get stuck. If you have that video, then you can have it by the side. In case you have any mistake, you can look through and see if the particular error, the syntax error, or any type of error that Python interpreter has thrown is in there, and you can see probably the reason why the error is there and what you need to do to correct that error, because it can be somehow daunting task when you're writing a programming language. In fact, that's one of the reasons why many get discouraged and you get stuck. You see error, you don't know how to get out of the error. That is one basic roadblock that many beginners in programming language always come across, and they get discouraged along the way. So don't forget to like this channel, subscribe, and press notification button so that you will be notified when we load the next video. Thank you.